Cole, man. I appreciate you being on the podcast.
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to have you on. You're a longtime friend, but also a beast, and I think you're just a perfect guest for this week and what we're talking about. So thank you for being on.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. I see all the AIM posts all the time, and I'm a big follower of it. I got my AIM hoodie on, so I appreciate all you guys do. So I'm happy to be on here.
Yeah, absolutely, man. No, we appreciate you too, and just kind of jumping in and getting going here. You've had a wild ride. It's been amazing to see you kind of every step of the way, just all the things you've accomplished. But kind of just right off the bat, let's kind of break down your story a little bit, how you got to Liberty, and just kind of go from there.
Yeah, so it was cool how our stories intercepted, right? And you kind of saw from Roanoke in our freshman year of college on, but I'll go a little bit before that, back when I started. So my basketball journey kind of started back really in seventh grade, which is kind of late for some, but it's kind of cool how it all came together, right? So I had played different sports growing up, and in seventh grade, it kind of sounds funny or crazy now looking back, but tryouts were coming up in probably about a month from when I decided I want to give this basketball thing a try, right? And so middle school tryouts, and I was like, all right, I'm going to do a few drills in the driveway, get help from one of my family's friends or YouTube this video, right? And so I don't know why I thought that was going to be like a great success path, but I did at the moment. So I went into that, giving that a try. And obviously looking back now, I probably shouldn't have hoped for success at the moment with a month's preparation, but I went in, tried out, and I got cut, right? And so it's the good old you get cut story, right? And so that kind of hurt, but I kind of expected it in a way since I hadn't really, put in the time and work. I knew things are a process, right? It takes work. And so came back that next year, really just worked really hard preparing for eighth grade tryouts, right? I made that my eighth grade year. Wasn't very good at all, pretty bad, but it was part of that step along the way, right? And then going into high school, I went to Heritage High School, in Wake Forest. And so being on JV my freshman, sophomore year, right, was kind of the process. And for some, it looks different, right? For me, I felt like it was a stepping stone because I knew, right, with only a couple of years of experience, I wasn't going to be that freshman starter on varsity that some people picture or dream about, right? It's different for everyone, and that wasn't my path. And so, I kind of used those years to work and prep, and the school did a good job of pouring into us, right? And I started the AAU journey, which I didn't really know a lot about. So it was kind of bouncing around from teams here and there and, learning the ways that works. And then, got on up to varsity junior year. I felt like that was a big change in my path. I felt like I was finally starting to grasp, the skills and what it meant to play basketball at that level at the moment. And, worked through that. And then senior year, was a big year for us over at Heritage. It was a great team. We had been there for a while, and that had really built up. We got to win the John Wall Holiday Invitational and things like that. It was really cool to see that come to fruition, right? Those years before, and like, okay, this really is something that I'm passionate about, right? And I had been working towards it. And even back from seventh grade, my goal was to play in college. But now it was like, okay, this is actually something that could happen, right? I was seeing the results from the years of work. But, as your story intersected there, right? Going into my senior year, I had a lot of, Division III offers from a lot of the schools over here on the East Coast. And, my mindset was I want to play basketball, right? And that's my passion. And no matter what, I want to get to the next level, even if that was Division III. And so I didn't really entertain, applying to schools just for school or anything. I was just looking at who was recruiting me and who would let me play the game that I love. And so, out of that decision came the choice to go to Roanoke College over in Salem, Virginia. And, we were there for that year. And I was blessed to have you there, man. We had some good memories. I know we talk about a lot, all the time, day to day. But, that year we went. I know we made it to the conference championship, which was pretty sad and heartbreaking when we lost in that. But, I had gained basketball experience and, I kind of figured out more of what I wanted, right? And I think even that year was a big growth year, one having you in it, but also in my personal faith with God, right? My personal aspirations for basketball and seeing, look, my journey's not done yet. I think there's still more for me, right? And I feel like, not that it's bad or good, but I feel like I'm being called somewhere else. And if I got to be honest, man, that was a tough decision, right? Because it was almost like I have security in basketball and going somewhere where I don't know if there's security in basketball, right? I could just be a student, or I could go somewhere, right, where there's not that security in basketball, but I really would feel happy, right? And so that was kind of my thought process in all of that. And, I kind of prayed a lot about it and leapt out in faith. And I went to Liberty University. I had just known a little bit about, my brother had gone there just for school. And so, from there is when the Liberty story kind of picks up. Just getting there, I didn't really have any connections, right? But I was still working in the summer, still grinding, working on my craft, right, of basketball, and hoping, that this could be a place. Maybe I've been called here to continue the game I love. And I kind of, reached out about just being around basketball, because my thing was like, if I'm here, I at least want to serve the team, right? Work with the team in some capacity, be around this game of basketball. And so, through a process of that, I was able to reach out and actually become a manager my first year there. So it would have been my sophomore year in college. And the people there were amazing, getting in that and seeing it from a different lens, I think was also a great part of my journey, and seeing how behind the scenes worked, right? All the servants that give so much for the players that everyone sees out on the court, but no one sees that behind the scenes work and that servanthood that they have. And so I really learned a lot that year, but I was also able to work on my game, right? Be around people at a very high level, right? And form those relationships with the players, the coaches, the other managers and staff, and just seeing what it took to play at the Division I level, right? Because it was very different. As you know, it was a big jump from Division III to Division I. And so I think that was a great lesson for me in and of itself. And then, from there, just working and not giving up and still having hope that, my dream of playing Division I basketball could still be on the table, and just continuing to have that belief in myself, right? Of, I think I can do this. And, from there, I was given a spot on the team for the next 2 years, where I was able to play out my time there, and some great memories. I know we can get into more of that, but that's kind of where I started. I know that was long, but that's my journey. And I feel like it's important to know where you came from and where you're at now, right? And some people don't see that. They might just see, oh, I played at Liberty, right? But there were a lot of behind the scenes ups and downs that got me to where I was today. So, yeah.
No, it's incredible, man. I'm so blessed to know you, man. And I'm so proud of you and what you've done. And I think it's easy, like you said, for someone to see kind of the final product, or someone at the top, and they're like, wow, that it must be nice. I've heard that a lot. It must be nice they're there, but they don't see everything underwater. Like, they don't see everything you had to go through. What would you say was like, okay, so you get cut in middle school, you go to JV,
Mm-hmm.
then you go Division III. Like, so you've got these things that are like not necessarily in quote unquote ideal. Like, how did you maintain belief in yourself even in the midst of not getting the result or outcome you initially wanted?
Yeah. So I think it all starts with, a few main things, but one is, right, believing in yourself and knowing that you can do what you put your mind to, right? But also, I think people in there sometimes, it's like, oh, I believe in myself, but right, you have to have a lens of, where am I going? What do I believe in? So I think the next thing for me was having something that I believed in, right? And at the core of that, it's different for everyone, right? But at the core of that for me was, I have a purpose, I have a calling, right? I feel like God's given me these abilities and gifts. So that really gave me the confidence of, look, this is where I'm going. I have someone that I'm playing for, right? That's my belief. This is what I believe in. This is my belief, right? But then that's where people get lost in that gap, right? I think a lot of times for me, what could have been hard is if you don't have that belief internally, right? There's going to be failures, mistakes. It's not all happy-go-lucky, right? I'm here at the finish line, right? And I think that's where people quit, because if your motivation is external, right? If you have those external motivation of, oh, if you do this, you get this reward, or I'll give you this offer for doing this, right? That can only last but so long, right? When that offer and reward isn't there, where's the drive go? Where's your motivation, right? So it really started with internally that belief of, I believe I can do this, right? And I've been given the gifts and abilities to glorify God with this. And so that's my goal. And this is where I want to be in the future. And so that internal, right, it can be like a flood. It just overflows, right? Because external factors can happen. You can't do this, right? You're going to have people try to bring you down. But when you have that belief inside, I think that was the motor that propelled me to keep going. And, you know, believing that belief drives results, right? Is a kind of saying I like a lot. Or belief, you know, gets you to that reward that you want, right? It's not going to be easy. There's a big risk in it, right? In any success, you probably know, right? In business, right? Anything you do, there's a jump you have to take, right? And I think if you don't have that foundation of what you believe in, why you're doing it, and then that belief in yourself to propel you there forward, then I think that's where people are going to fall, right? And they're going to take a step back and not really try. And so my thing was like, look, this is where I want to be. I think, and I believe that I can do it, right? And so I'm going to give it all I have. And if I fail, well, then I know that it didn't work out and it wasn't part of God's bigger plan for me, but you're never going to know until you try. And so I think that was really my motivation of what got me to where I am now.
That's amazing. I completely agree with everything you said. And I think, you know, the way you framed it, like you said, not everyone believes this, but I'm very similar in the fact with, you know, God is first. God, you know, is what drives me. And ultimately, you know, I'm very blessed to have these platforms and be able to have this conversation with you. And I think, you know, kind of breaking it down even more, like, I think the biggest thing that shows someone if you believe in yourself, because everybody, so many people be like, yeah, I believe in myself, but do your actions show that? And I think that's really kind of like what you were saying. Like that's really the next level. It's like, okay, if you really believe in yourself, let me see your actions. Don't talk about it. Let me see your actions, because the person that truly believes in themselves will never settle, will never, even if they fail, they're going to keep going because they believe that much. And I think that's what you see too many times nowadays is people want this instant gratification. They say they believe in themselves, but as soon as they hit adversity, as soon as they fail a little bit, they give up. I'm like, you don't believe in yourself. Like, don't say you believe in yourself if you're going to stop. Like, believe in yourself. You can do it. You guys got to keep pushing.
Yeah. I think to speak to that, like you were saying, the belief and the action, right? The way I see it is belief and then action follows that belief, right? And I think some people have a different mindset of the other way around of, once I do something or once I do there and get there, then I'll believe that I'm capable of it, right? But the only way you're going to get there is if you believe first. And when you have that belief, then you can put those beliefs into action. And it's not always going to be one big belief and one big action and boom, you're at your goal. But I think that's where people get it twisted. It's going to be little beliefs of, I believe I can do this and take this next step, right? And each belief leads to that action. And when that's successful, then you build more confidence and more confidence of, I'm on the right path and I don't know where it's going to go fully or what it's going to look like. It's going to be up and down, right? But each belief leads me to another action. And once the action is completed, then I see more success, more confidence, and that just builds on itself. It's like a snowball effect. So.
That's good. Yeah, I agree. I think that's really good stuff. Kind of going back, so we talked kind of about like how you believe in yourself to get through those harder times. I think it'd be interesting to take this conversation kind of on the flip side of it. And like, okay, so now you get to middle school basketball, you get to varsity, you get to college basketball. How like talk to us about your mindset of how you never settled. It's like you believed in yourself first, but then you never settled and you weren't content in your situation. You always wanted to keep improving. Talk to us a little bit about that and that mindset.
Yeah, for sure. I think one, it stemmed out of my original goal of, I want to play college basketball, right? And so everything before that was built on that. And, there were times where it got hard, right? You're going to have some doubts. It's not always easy, right? And I knew that. But I think looking back internally and seeing that main goal that I had set, I was like, look, I believe that I can do this, right? And there's going to be people that along the way that told me I couldn't. And I think it was also building on each day, right? Because if I look too far forward, then, you lose sight of where you came from the day before. And so I think it was, today I'm going to get a little bit better, right? And I have the belief that I'm not going to be where I need to be right there, and I'm not supposed to be. So I'm going to take this day by day, little action steps, and putting into practice. I'm going to get better at this today, right? So for me, it might have been, all right, I'm going to get better up on ball handling today, right? I'm going to get better on moving without the ball, right? And I think it was also looking at people ahead of me, right? You got to have role models, mentors, that you see ahead of you, and like, this is what I want to be like, and this is where I want to be. And so what are they doing to get me there? And back to that point of just, having that belief in myself, even when others didn't. A big part of it, right, for me was out of that faith aspect of, I really did see it as a calling and a purpose on my life. And so when I had that motivation of, I'm in God's will, I'm in my lane, right? That's a whole nother confidence that can't be stripped from you, right? Can't be taken from you. That's a whole nother power. And so that really was my motivational factor that I would fall back on days when I was sad or down or like, I'm not getting anywhere. Where am I supposed to be going? I thought this was part of a bigger plan. I thought this was a calling, and I thought this would play out the way I wanted it to. But I had to take a step back and say, no, this is in God's hands, right? He gave me the abilities. But then another point on that is, I feel like people that'll use that excuse of, God told me I'll be here at this place, or, he's called me to this. And then they just get lazy on it, and right, like, he's going to do everything from there. No, God's a God that wants us to work, right? Hard work is where it's going to get you places, right? You have to have that work ethic. And so I think it was knowing that, but then realizing I have to work on these skills, right? Gain this knowledge on my own, right? That's going to be on me. And that goes back to that belief in myself of, I believe I can do these things. And when I do those, the rest is out of my control. And I'm just going to keep going day by day to that end result of playing in college, right? Or breaking it down to the smaller goals of, all right, I want to make the 8th grade team. All right, I'm on JV. What can I do to stand out to make varsity? Because I knew that was a big stepping stone, right? And then in that AAU, what can I do to stand out to get college coaches' attention? And if I'm being honest, I never thought it would go from that to Division III, then to Division I, right? All our dreams and most hoopers' goals are, I'm just going to go from high school, be a top recruit, right, and go straight to the finish line of that Division I level. But I think it was so special that I didn't, because it was another adversity or building block for me, that even grew that belief in myself even more of like, I'm here, I could settle, right? I could be here, I've reached college basketball. That was my original goal. I made it. But to me, there was still that burning passion inside, fueling out of that belief of like, I'm not finished yet, right? I think there's more in the tank, and I have some left in me. And so let's give this a shot. Let's get to work every day, more and more, working even harder, right? Knowing that there could be a next step. I just didn't know what that step was at the time, but that's why I'm not God. So,
That's good, dude. You bring up this thought I just had, and what you said kind of triggered it, but it's almost like you think of it like this. The best thing for us in terms of, if you're really trying to believe in yourself and be successful in life, the best thing for us, in my opinion, is adversity. Because if you go back and look at your story and say everything went smoothly, you made the team, you went and played varsity, you went D1, like, I know who you are as a man, and I know you would still be a hard worker and still be a faithful servant of the Lord, but I don't necessarily know, and I can say the same for myself, that you would have that same hunger and desire and drive. Because I think it's those times where we're like tested almost, where like that's where we grow, and that's where we find out what we're really made of, and if we truly believe in ourselves. And so I think, people listening to this, like, your story is a really, really cool example of it. But like, you gotta embrace adversity head on, understand your purpose from God, or whatever you believe in, and then believe in yourself, because those are the moments where you will see huge amounts of growth in your life.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that people that think it's going to be easy. They're just crazy, right? And I think the most successful people that you look at in the world, in any field, in any career, right, in any sport, they would be the first to tell you that the most they learned was from their setbacks, right, their failures and their mistakes, right? Because I think that goes to the mindset of how they viewed them, right? A lot of people, if you're not success minded and goal oriented, they're going to see those setbacks and mistakes as like, I did something wrong. I'm on the wrong track. This is putting me farther away from where I want to be,
Yeah.
right? But when you flip that switch in your perspective on having a successful mind and that mindset of this is where I want to be, right? And so you take that failure and say, no, that was just a little minor mistake, growth. I see what isn't going to work or what I need to change, right? And then I apply that change into my daily habits, my daily routine, so that I don't do that again, right? Because I think repeating the same mistake is when it becomes a problem. But a mistake and a blockage in the road, that adversity is not a problem in and of itself. I think it propels you even forward, and it did for me on like, oh, this is showing me where I don't want to be or what I don't want to do, and knowing that, okay, what do I have to change, right? And seeing it through that opportunistic view of a positive mindset instead of a negative, I think is really where the growth occurs, because it doesn't occur when everything goes right. It's when something goes wrong is where you learn, and you have to learn day by day to get to whatever goal you have set, honestly.
No doubt. I think too, it's important, like it's easy for anyone to succeed with confidence. Like if you go accomplish your goal and succeed, like you're gonna be confident, you're gonna believe in your ability. I think you have to have that same mindset when you fail. Like you gotta be confident when you fail. And I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying to not be humble and address kind of what you need to adjust, but like if you've got an idea or a passion or a drive about something, go with it with extreme confidence. And if you fail, that's okay. But if you don't have the confidence in yourself and you fail, you're going to be so much further back than where you could be like, okay, like you just said, like, let's make some adjustments. Let's see what I need to tweak, where I need to improve, and let's attack again. Let's send another shot. Let's go keep pushing on, because without that mental confidence, without that mental resilience, like you're just not going to get to where you could go. And that's scary, man.
Yeah, no, it is. And I think that's the whole point, right, of that belief in yourself. It comes from within, right? Our minds, right? We feed our minds different things, and that's what's going to be our truth, and that's what's going to be our belief. And so from within, right, there's going to be attacks from outside, and then when that adversity comes. But if you have that core belief that you can do it, that you can make this happen, and no matter what it takes, whatever setback, you're going to keep working, get back up, and attack it again, just in a smarter and different way, then that's when the opportunities are endless. And that's what I think helped me a lot. Of you even get more hungry, right? Every time you get knocked down, every setback I had in my journey of basketball, or every hard time, yeah, it sucks in the moment, right? You're going to be down a little bit sometimes. Every day, you're not going to be all happy go lucky and, let's do this. But when that flame is still lit inside of you and it's still ignited, and you can even turn it up even more and get back up and say, you know what? No, this is what I wanted from the beginning, and I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to give up. Then I think that's when you can attack each day with a stronger and stronger mindset.
No doubt. That's so good, man. This has been a really dope conversation. And I think, you've provided so much value. I'm super excited to break this down as we wrap it up. But, kind of moving forward, man, you've had an extremely successful career playing the game. And I know I'm sure you're grateful for the time and the different steps along the way, like you've mentioned. What's next for you, man? What are you working on now? Where are you headed? What are your aspirations?
Yeah. So degree wise, right? So I was in business finance. And like a minor in accounting. So, my next step is, I think there's still growth for me, and I want to take these next couple of years. I'm going to be getting my master's. I'm in grad school. So my MBA is my goal and plan of attack. And I think that's going to be the next step for me, and just expanding my education, expanding that knowledge. And I'll also be working at the school within the athletic department in a graduate position, helping out in the sporting events and the athletic realm of things, which I think is going to be cool for me, right? I hate that the ball stopped bouncing for me, right, in the college level. And, everybody has to put it down at some point. I think it was my time, and it still hits me sometimes. It's still sad, right? You know, how much I love the game, but I think it's not over, right? I'm still going to be able to use that passion to fuel others' drive, right? And share my story with others on how they can continue to strive for their goals, right? Even if they don't always think they can do it, it has to come from within. And so that's really my next step in just learning more of the ins and outs of the athletic and business world and where they meet, and just seeing, you know, what God has in store for me next from there. But
That's incredible. And I'm somewhat, nah, let me say this. I'm very confident that you're going to be a lethal sniper in some adult league coming soon. Or pick up game.
hey, I'm already playing in a church league
Are
when
you
I'm with
really?
my cousin. Yeah, because I couldn't stay away from it, man. You know, when you play for so long, and I was like, right after it ended, and I knew, you know, I was going to be done playing at Liberty, I was like, I got to play somewhere. Pickup was closed because of COVID and still, you know, wearing off. And I was like, where am I going to play? So my cousin hits me up and says his church is having a league. And what better way you get to play with your cousin on the same team and get to play with real refs in an actual league. And so we're actually in the championship this coming up Sunday. So it's big time stuff, but dude, it's a blast though, just to keep playing. But I'll definitely be finding some adult leagues down the road, you know,
Yeah,
to keep up my cardio.
there you go. Dang, that's awesome, man. Well, on behalf of the AIM team, we wish you good luck in the championship. We hope you get another ring. You've had a lot of rings so far, so this will just be another one for you.
I
That's good stuff.
appreciate it.
Oh, man. No, this has been
Oh,
it's been fun catching up, man. I appreciate you being on the AIM podcast, man. And like I said, in all seriousness, I said it jokingly, but in all seriousness, Ambition in Mind has your back 100%. We can't wait to see what you accomplish, and just keep being a leader, man. Keep serving God and keep serving others, man. We're proud of you.
well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it, man. You know, I love what you guys do. And, you know, the main thing, keep ambition in mind, baby. Just keep moving, keep working. And you guys are going to do great things and continue to grow. So I'm excited to be a part of it.
Yes, sir. You heard it here first. Colton Reed says to keep ambition in mind.